Have you ever wondered if it's safe to feed wild animals? It's a question that has sparked curiosity among many of us, especially those who have had close encounters with animals in the wild. From the innocent squirrel in the park to the majestic deer in the woods, the temptation to interact with them by offering food is often overwhelming. But is it really safe to do so? What are the potential risks and benefits that come with feeding wildlife? This video aims to shed light on this issue. We'll delve into the depths of the topic, uncovering the truth behind the impact of our seemingly harmless actions. We'll explore the two sides of the coin, revealing the consequences of feeding wild animals, and the reasons why it might be a practice best avoided. So prepare yourself for an enlightening journey that will challenge your perspectives and perhaps change your future interactions with wildlife. Stay tuned as we count down the top 10 reasons. Starting at number 10, we have unnatural diets. You see, when we feed wild animals, we often give them foods that are a part of our diet, not theirs. This can lead to severe health issues for these creatures. Our processed and packaged foods, for instance, are loaded with sugars, salts, and preservatives that a wild animal's body simply isn't equipped to handle. Imagine eating something entirely alien to your dietary needs. It would be a bit like us surviving solely on a diet of leaves and insects. The result? Nutritional deficiencies, obesity, and even fatal diseases. Furthermore, it's not just about what they're eating, but also what they're not. By providing an easy food source, we're discouraging them from hunting or foraging for their natural food. This can disrupt their learned behaviors and survival skills. So, feeding wild animals might not be as kind as you think. After all, a good intention doesn't always translate to a good outcome. At number 9, we have dependency. Now let's dive into why dependency is a pressing concern when it comes to feeding wild animals. You see, when animals become accustomed to being fed by humans, they may become less capable of finding food on their own. This dependency isn't just about food either, it can extend to their entire lifestyle. Imagine a bird that no longer migrates because it's getting easy meals in your backyard, or a bear that stopped hunting because it's found a trash can that's regularly filled with food. This dependency on human-provided food can make wild animals less able to fend for themselves, decreasing their survival skills and making them more vulnerable to threats. In essence, when we feed wild animals, we may inadvertently cripple their ability to survive in the wild. We are, in a way, robbing them of their independence, their resilience, and their survival instincts. So remember, feeding can actually rob animals of their survival skills. Number 8 on our list is disease transmission. It's a less considered yet crucial aspect when it comes to feeding wild animals. Here's the thing, when we feed wildlife, it's not just food that's being shared. There's a high chance that diseases could pass between us and the animals. This is especially risky because many diseases that afflict animals can also be harmful to humans, a phenomenon known as zoonosis. Examples include Lyme disease from ticks, rabies from raccoons, and even the plague from rodents. On the flip side, humans can also unknowingly pass diseases to animals, disrupting their health and potentially causing outbreaks in their populations. This is a two-way street of potential harm that we must consider before extending our hand with food. So remember, when you're thinking about feeding that cute squirrel in your backyard, the stakes are higher than they appear. Feeding wildlife might put both you and the animal at risk. Coming in at number 7 is overpopulation. Picture this. You're out for a picnic in the park, and you decide to share your leftovers with a group of squirrels. Seems harmless, right? Well, not quite. When we feed wild animals, we provide them with an easy and abundant food source. This surplus of food can lead to an increase in their population. When the population of a species grows beyond the ecosystem's capacity to support it, it can tip the balance of nature. An overpopulated species can outcompete others for resources, leading to a decline in biodiversity. Moreover, it can cause a ripple effect through the food chain, impacting other species and potentially changing the entire ecosystem. So, next time you're tempted to share your sandwich with a squirrel, remember that your actions may have unintended consequences. Overpopulation is yet another way that feeding might unintentionally cause more harm than good. At number 6, we have human safety. When we think about the implications of feeding wild animals, we often focus on the animals themselves. But what about the risks to humans? Feeding can lead to aggressive behavior in wildlife. Animals, once docile, may become confrontational and dangerous, expecting food from any human they encounter. This shift in behavior can pose a significant risk to human safety. Think about it, a bear, emboldened by previous handouts, approaching a family on a camping trip, or a seagull, no longer shy, swooping down to snatch food from a child's hand. These situations aren't just hypothetical, they happen more often than we'd like to admit. And in some unfortunate cases they can lead to injury or even fatal encounters. It's not just about protecting wildlife, it's about ensuring our safety too. Remember, feeding wildlife isn't just harmful for them, it's potentially dangerous for us. Feeding wildlife can potentially put you in danger. Halfway through at number 5 is animal safety. Let's take a moment to consider the potential harm we might unknowingly cause to our furry friends. When we feed wild animals, it can sometimes lure them towards busy roads or heavily populated areas. This unexpected shift in their natural behavior can put them in grave danger. They might find themselves navigating dangerous traffic or crossing paths with less animal-friendly humans. It's a harsh reality that many creatures meet their untimely demise due to vehicle collisions or harmful human interactions. Even if these animals manage to evade such threats, the stress and anxiety of being in unfamiliar and hostile territories can significantly impact their overall well-being. It's a domino effect of negative consequences, all stemming from a simple act of feeding. So while our intentions may be pure, it's crucial to remember that feeding wildlife might be placing them in harm's way. Number 4 on our countdown is habituation. It's a complex term, but let's break it down. Habituation refers to the process where wildlife becomes accustomed to human presence. Now, you might wonder, how does feeding contribute to this? Well, when we constantly feed wild animals, they start associating us with food. This association alters their natural behavior, making them less fearful of humans. Imagine a bear, a creature that would typically avoid human contact, now approaching a picnic area without hesitation, expecting a free meal. This might not seem like a big deal, but it's a significant shift in the bear's natural behavior. And it's not just about bears. It could be any wild creature. The more we feed them, the more they get used to us, and the more their behavior changes. We need to remember that these are wild animals, not pets. Feeding might be changing wildlife behavior in ways we don't fully understand. Coming in at number 3 is illegal activity. Now, did you know in some places feeding wildlife isn't just frowned upon, but it's actually against the law? That's right. Various jurisdictions across the world have recognized the potential harm to both humans and animals alike from this seemingly innocent act. For instance, in many national parks around the globe, it's illegal to feed the wildlife. The law isn't there to spoil your fun, but to protect these animals and their habitats from harm. The fines for these offenses can be hefty, and in some cases repeated offenses could even lead to imprisonment. So, before you decide to share your sandwich with that adorable squirrel in the park, think again. You might be breaking the law and causing more harm than good. Remember, these laws are in place for a reason, to protect our precious wildlife and their natural habitats. Feeding might be more than just unwise, it could be illegal. Almost at the top, at number 2, is environmental impact. We've seen how feeding wild animals can harm the animals themselves and pose threats to human safety. But the ripple effects go even further, impacting our environment as a whole. It's a domino effect. When animals become dependent on human food, they may overpopulate certain areas, causing an imbalance in local ecosystems. The natural food chain can be disrupted, with certain species thriving at the expense of others. Over time, these shifts can lead to the loss of plant and animal species, altering habitats and even contributing to biodiversity loss. And let's not forget, these changes may also affect other species that rely on these habitats for survival. Imagine a pond where ducks are regularly fed bread. The overfed ducks may outcompete other species for resources, leading to a decrease in the variety of life in that pond. In a nutshell, feeding wildlife isn't just about that one animal you're feeding. It's a chain reaction that can upset the delicate balance of our ecosystems. Feeding wildlife might be contributing to larger environmental issues. And finally, at number 1, we have unintended consequences. Our intentions may be pure, fueled by compassion and a desire to help. We see a hungry animal and think a small act of kindness by sharing our food can't possibly lead to harm. But the reality is often less forgiving. When we feed wild animals, we unknowingly disrupt the delicate balance of nature. This balance, which has been shaped over millions of years, is not easily corrected once disturbed. The ripple effects can be far-reaching, affecting not just the animals we feed but entire ecosystems. We might inadvertently encourage overpopulation, leading to resource scarcity. We could unintentionally propagate diseases or create dependencies that leave animals vulnerable when we're not around to provide that next meal. These unintended consequences serve as a stark reminder that our actions, however well-meaning, can have serious repercussions on the natural world. So, the next time you're tempted to feed a wild animal, feeding wild animals, think again. As we have seen, feeding wildlife is not as harmless as it may seem. It's a practice that disrupts the natural balance in more ways than one. From promoting unnatural diets to creating dependencies, we're tampering with nature's finely tuned system. We're not just risking our safety and that of the animals, but we're also contributing to overpopulation and in some cases, even illegal activities. The environmental impact is profound, altering ecosystems and leading to unintended consequences. Animals become habituated to human presence, losing their natural fear and potentially becoming aggressive. The spread of disease becomes a real concern not just for the animals but for us humans too. So let's take a moment to reconsider. The allure of interacting with wildlife can be tempting, but the consequences are far-reaching. Next time you consider feeding a wild animal, remember these top 10 reasons and choose to appreciate wildlife from a distance instead.